Hey guys, Dr. Derek here. This is going to be our video on how to prep for a successful fast. Okay, I find this might be the most important piece to fasting in general. And I say that because a proper preparatory way of eating allows fasting to be a much easier part of your life. And so this is actually where we have to start with a lot of people, especially folks who have really aggressive hunger. And this is very common across the board in people who suffer from obesity and diabetes. Their hunger is very powerful, and it's hard to sometimes understand. And that's why the advice of, well, just eat less doesn't really work for those folks, because it's an incredible hunger pang that they get that is only satiated when they eat. And so to resolve that first step, and that is quite honestly the reason why most people are a little afraid of fasting. Or what if I'm hungry? One, it'll be okay, but two, that's the feeling that tends to make us give in and eat something, right? And then that, of course, is going to abort the fast to a degree. So how do we avoid hunger ruining our successful fast? And I found that if we switch to a lower carbohydrate diet, this is an incredibly important preparatory component. And so this can mean a lot of different things for different people. Some people are very analytical, numbers based, and will say, well, shoot for less than 50 grams of carbohydrates a day. That doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody likes to sit down and count how many grams of carbohydrates are in their meals. Of course, and then there's the total carbohydrates versus net carbohydrates. I tend to shoot at net. This is a kind of an equation that looks at subtracting how many grams of fiber we're also eating. You can go online and look at the calculation for net carbohydrates of any food, and there's a lot of resources out there to do that. For the people who aren't as analytical and are more, we'll call it maybe intuitive eaters, I have them follow a couple of simple rules. The first one is going to be no grains, no sugar, no processed foods. Okay, we take that out first. Secondly, we emphasize plants that grow above the ground. So think about this for a second. That means leafy greens are in, zucchinis are in, bell peppers are in, squashes are in. But what that takes out are things like sweet potatoes, turnips, a lot of these starchier root vegetables. I have them aim for no more than one serving of fruit in a day, and no bananas. They're just chock full of carbohydrates, and they easily will ruin a carbohydrate load. And then leveraging protein. So making sure that we are having meals that are low in processed foods, low fruit, higher in protein, because protein actually makes us very satiated. And the last thing, which is arguably the most important piece, is to eat until you're full. So I already know what some of you were thinking. Does this mean you just eat, bacon for every meal? No, that is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we're looking to have a kind of balanced, eating strategy that has plants and that has some animal protein and that has good quality fats in it. Okay, but what we need to be cognizant of, especially when we are looking to change things like weight loss patterns, regulate blood sugar, we have to be cognizant of the carbohydrate load. And that's where the kind of emphasis on the above ground plants come. And once you start to learn and understand the amounts of carbohydrates in these plants, you can start to navigate, well, how do I make sure I spread that out throughout my day so that I'm not eating too many, but I'm also getting good sources of phytonutrients through plants routinely. Animal protein does have some benefits. It has some benefits in the way of it's a protein source without any other carbohydrates, generally speaking. That's not as easy to find in the plant kingdom, especially unprocessed. If you look at a lot of the sources of plant proteins, beans, legumes, you look at nuts and seeds, all foods that are generally okay. However, if we are trying to stick to a low carbohydrate diet, we have to be cognizant that yes, they are sources of protein, but they are also relatively robust sources of carbohydrates as well. And so if it fits into our day and our carbohydrate load, fantastic. But it's really easy to kind of stretch over that carbohydrate limit if we're including a lot of these as our protein sources. In our next video, we're going to go into the next step of having a successful fast, and that's implementing intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating. So pay attention to that next one, and thanks for tuning in. The information in these videos is provided for informational purpose only. It's not intended to substitute for the advice of your doctor or other healthcare professionals. Do not use this information for diagnosing or treating any health problem or disease, and always talk with your doctor before taking any medications, nutritional supplements, implementing any fasting routines. If you suspect you have a medical problem, contact your healthcare provider. This video does not constitute a doctor-patient relationship, and no statements have been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.